Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to Cracking IELTS 9.0. So today we are going to discuss reading passage 2 of test 2, Cambridge book 17. As you can see, the passage says a second attempt at domesticating the tomato. Right. So we have nearly 5 paragraphs here, as you can see on your left side. And when it comes to the right side, you can see the questions here. So questions 14 to 18, right? So which section contains the following information, right? So you have to read these questions and you have to figure out where are these statements in the paragraphs, okay? And questions 19 to 23, they are like matching questions. So you need to match with the list of researchers with these statements, okay? And the last 3 questions, they are like fill in the blanks, just like one word answers, okay? So we'll go one by one. I'm going to discuss a lot of tips and tricks, right? And all those techniques for you guys to figure out the answers. So please follow me along. So without wasting any time, let's start the passage, okay? So first of all, we'll look at the questions now. So reading passage 2 has 5 sections A to E. Which section contains the following information? Okay, so we need to figure out which section has the below information, okay? And guys, you have a note here. You may use any letter more than once. So whenever you see this instruction, you should understand that any letter will be repeated more than once, okay? So this is like a hint for you guys. It means uh, the paragraph A can come 2 times, or paragraph B can come multiple times, or C, D, E, anything can come multiple times, more than once, okay? When this hint is given, it means that any one passage will repeat itself, okay? 99%. When you see this, you have to assume that something is going to repeat, okay? If your answers are not repeating, if you get 5 different answers, then it means you have done wrong somewhere, okay? So when you see this instruction, be careful. This is one technique. This is the trick I'm telling you guys, okay? When you see this, definitely 99% any one paragraph will repeat itself, okay? So let's start reading, okay? A reference to a type of tomato that can resist a dangerous infection, okay? To answer all these questions, we need to read all the paragraphs, right? A, B, C, D, E. Only when you read all the paragraphs, then only you get the idea which sentence is where. But that will waste a lot of time, right? If I read the 14th question and try to search in all the paragraphs, it will waste your time. Again, read the 15th question, again, read all the passages. It's going to waste a lot of time. So what is the trick here? So the technique is you need to read the paragraph first and then come to the questions. Only for this type of questions, right? Which section contains the following information? Only for this type of questions, read the paragraph first, okay? We'll read the paragraph A and find out if there is anything related to paragraph A from 14 to 18, okay? So this is a reverse technique that we should apply, okay? So this will make our job very easy, right? Now let's see how it becomes so easy. Look at this one, guys. Okay, let's start reading paragraph A, okay? It took at least 3,000 years for humans to learn how to domesticate the wild tomato and cultivate it for food. Now, 2 separate teams in Brazil and China have done it all over again in less than 3 years. And they have done it better in some ways, as the re-domesticated tomatoes are more nutritious than the ones we eat at present. Okay, right. So he says the re-domesticated tomatoes are more nutritious than the ones we eat present. Okay. This approach relies on the revolutionary CRISPR genome editing technique, in which changes are deliberately made to the DNA of a living cell, allowing the genetic material to be added, removed, or altered. The technique could not only improve existing crops, but could also be used to turn thousands of wild plants into useful and appealing foods. In fact, a third team in the US has already begun to do this with a relative of a tomato called ground cherry. Okay, right. So far, it's good. This fast-track domestication could help make the world's food supply healthier and far more resistant to diseases, such as the rust fungus devastating wheat crops. Okay. So this could transform what we eat, says Jörg Kudla at the University of Munster in Germany, a member of the Brazilian team. Okay. So this guy Kudla is a Brazilian team member. Okay. There are 50,000 edible plants in the world, but 90% of the energy comes from just 15 crops. Okay. So out of these 50,000 edible plants, our energy is coming just from these 15 crops. 90% of the energy, right? Okay. We can now mimic the known domestication course of major crops like rice, maize, sorghum, or others, says Gao of the Chinese Academy of Sciences in Beijing. Then we might try to domesticate plants that have been never been domesticated. Okay, right. So we have read the paragraph A. Okay, now let's see any of these statement is matching with what is given in A or not. Okay. A reference to a type of tomato that can resist dangerous infection. First one. So did we read anything about dangerous infections? I think we read something, but I'm not sure what is that. Okay, I think we read somewhere in the third line, right? So this fast track, I think this one, right? This fast track domestication could help make the world's food supply healthier and far more resistant to diseases such as rust fungus devastating the wheat crops. A reference to a type of tomato that can resist a dangerous infection. Is there any reference to a type of tomato? I don't think we have used any tomato that can resist some dangerous infections. This is rust fungus devastating the wheat crops. I think it says healthier and far more resistant to diseases, but he did not mention any serious dangerous infection. And there is no reference to a type of specific tomato, right? Oh, okay. So I think 14 is not matching with anything. Let us go with the 15th one. An explanation of how problems can arise from focusing only on a certain type of tomato plant. Uh, he spoke about some, did he spoke about any tomato plants here? No, he was just talking about some around 3,000 years ago and Brazil and China, right? About this technique, editing technique. And yes, I don't think there is any explanation of how problems can arise. He didn't talk about any problems here, right? Next, a number of examples of plants that are not cultivated at present but could be useful as food sources. Okay, did he talk about plants that are not cultivated at the present? It says not cultivated at present, but could be useful as food resources. Okay, so let us see. Did we come across anything like that? Number of examples of plants. Did we get any examples here? He said 50,000 plants, 15 crops. Okay. He did not talk about any number of examples, right? No, I don't think 16 is also matching. 17, a comparison between the early domestication of tomato and more recent research. Okay. So did we read about any comparison here? Early domestication of tomato and more recent research. So is there any comparison? I think he compared something around like the past and present here, right? It took at least 3,000 years for humans to domesticate the wild tomato, right? Now, see, it all began all over again in less than 3 years, and now they have done it better in some ways. See, it says they have done it better in some ways, as the redomesticated tomatoes are more nutritious than the ones we eat at present. Okay. So here is the in the first paragraph itself, there is some comparison between the past tomatoes and the present tomatoes. They say that, see, they are more nutritious and also that they have done it better in some ways. Okay. And I think also he said something about. So yes, in the first paragraph itself, there is the answer. But it is matching. Okay, when you are not sure or if you're in doubt, just keep Write it there and keep it on hold. Okay. So I'm just writing it because, okay, 17th one. Okay. So I'm typing it as A, right? So that would be my answer. Let's keep it on hold for the 17th one. Okay. Let's read the 18th one now. A personal reaction to the flavor of a tomato that has been genetically edited. Did we read anything about flavor of a tomato or any personal reaction here? No, right? So did we read anything about the flavor of a tomato? No. Any personal reaction here? No. So I don't think 18 is matching with anything in the paragraph A, right? So, okay. So let's move to the next paragraph and read B and try to match B with the remaining questions, okay? Right. So the wild tomatoes, which are native to the Andes region in South America, produce pea-sized fruits. Over many generations, people such as the Aztec and Incas transformed the plant by selecting and breeding plants with mutations in their genetic structure, which resulted in desirable traits such as a larger fruit. Okay. But every time a single plant with a mutation is taken from a larger population for breeding, much genetic diversity is lost. Okay. And sometimes the desirable mutations come with less desirable traits. For instance, the tomato strains grown for the supermarkets have lost much of their flavor. Okay. Now here he's talking about the flavor. We read somewhere, right? Okay. By comparing, the genome of modern plants to those of their wild relatives, biologists have been working out what genetic changes occurred as plants were domesticated. The teams in Brazil and China have now used this knowledge to reintroduce these changes from scratch while maintaining or even enhancing the desirable traits of wild strains. Okay. Okay, so let's read the questions now and let's try to match it. A reference to a type of tomato that can resist a dangerous infection. No, we did not read anything about any infections here, right? So let's read the next one. An explanation of how problems can arise from focusing only on a certain type of tomato plant. Okay, did we read about an explanation of how problems can arise? I think he spoke about few problems here, right? What was that? So they're focusing on a single type of plant, that is wild tomatoes, right? Okay, but every time a single plant, so read this one, guys. So every time a single plant with a mutation is taken from a larger population for breeding, much genetic diversity is lost. Okay, so this is one problem. Okay, and sometimes the desirable mutations come with less desirable traits. Second problem. Okay, this is a for instance, the tomato strains grown for supermarkets have lost much of their flavor. So this is the problem he's talking about, and he's giving the explanation for that, right? By comparing the genomes of modern plants to those of their wild relatives, biologists have been working out what genetic changes occurred as plants were domesticated. Okay, the teams now use this knowledge to reintroduce these changes from scratch while maintaining or even enhancing the traits, right? So I think B 15 is matching with B because he gave explanation of how problems can arise from focusing only on this plant. So I guess so 15 should be B, right? So I'm keeping it on hold so that if you find something better, then of course we can change our answers later, right? So, okay, let's say 16. Okay, he says any letter can be used more than once, right? So let us read 16th and try to match if anything is matching. Okay. So a number of examples of plants that are not cultivated at present, but could be useful as food sources. Okay. Right. So did we read about any number of examples of plants? No, we were talking only about one, that is wild tomatoes in this paragraph, right? Uh, Next, 18th one, a personal reaction to the flavor of a tomato. So he spoke about the flavor here, right? For instance, the tomato strains grown for the supermarket have lost much of their flavor, but what is the question? A personal reaction. So is there any reaction from anyone person here? No, there is no personal reaction here for this lost flavor, right? So I don't think it is matching in. Right. So far we got two answers, A and B. Let us see, read the C paragraph and let us see if anything is matching with that. Okay. Now, Kudlaw's team made 6 changes altogether. For instance, they tripled the size of the fruit by editing a gene called fruit weight and increased the number of tomatoes per truss by editing another called multiflora. Okay. Right. Good. While the historical domestication of tomatoes reduced levels of the red pigment lycopene thought to have potential health benefits, the team in Brazil managed to boost it instead. Okay. Now the wild tomato has twice as much lycopene as cultivated ones. The newly domesticated one has 5 times as much. Okay. Right. There is a lot of information. They are quite tasty, says Kudla. A little bit strong and very aromatic. Oh, okay. So Kudla reacted, guys. Note this point. Okay. Right. So he gave in the inverted commas. It means this is a reaction of Kudla for the taste of the tomato. They are quite tasty. So he's talking about the flavor here, right? And the team in China re-domesticated several strains of wild tomatoes with desirable traits lost in the domestic tomatoes. In this way, they managed to create a strain resistant to a common disease called bacterial spot race. Oh, okay. Here comes the disease, right? Which can devastate yields. They also created another strain that is more salt tolerant. Okay. So it is more salt tolerant here and has higher levels of vitamin C. Okay. Right. So there are a lot of information in the paragraph C. Now let us match. A reference to a type of tomato that can resist a dangerous infection. So did we talk about any infection? Yes, he did here, right? In this way, they managed to create a strain resistant to a common disease called bacterial spot rust, which can devastate the yields. Devastating means dangerous. Okay. And this is an infection, disease, common disease, infection. So they are the synonyms. Yes, it is matching. A reference to a type of tomato. Yes, yes, yes. This is the one. So I think C is clear, right? So here it is mentioned in the paragraph C, and C should be our answer for this one. Okay. And let's read the next question. A number of examples of plants that are not cultivated at present, but could be useful as food resources. Okay. Did we read about anything like that? Something which are not cultivated at present, he says. Oh, I don't think we read anything, right? So next, 18th one, a personal reaction to the flavor of a tomato that has been genetically edited. Yes, we read a personal reaction. Whose reaction was that? Mr. Kudla, right? What did he say? They are quite tasty, little bit strong and very aromatic, he says. Oh yeah, this is the personal reaction, right? We are talking about. So yeah, so C is one more time here. So yep, so this is one more time. I think C repeated itself, right? C 14th is C, 18th is C. So you may use any letter more than once means definitely one of the letter will repeat itself. See, the paragraph C has repeated itself now. Now let's read the paragraph D here, okay? Meanwhile, Joyce Van Eyck at the Boyce Thompson Institute in New York State decided to use the same approach to domesticate the ground cherry or golden berry for the first time. This fruit looks similar to closely related Cape gooseberry. Okay. The ground cherries are already sold to a limited extent in the US, but they are hard to produce because the plant has a sprawling growth habit and the small fruits fall off the branches when ripe. Van Eyck's team has edited the plants to increase fruit size, make their growth more compact, and to stop fruits dropping. There's potential for this to be a commercial crop, says the Van Eyck, but she adds that taking the work further would be expensive because of the need to pay for a license for the crispier technology and get regulatory approval. Okay. So this paragraph we spoke about Van Eyck, right? So let's see if it is matching 16th one. A number of examples of plant that are not cultivated at present but could be useful food resources. Okay. Um, did we talk about any examples or a number of examples of plants? I don't think so. We did not read anything about that. Let's read paragraph E and let's see whether E is matching with 16. Okay. Now, this approach could boost the use of many obscure plants, says Jonathan Jones of the Sainsbury Lab in the UK, but it will be hard for new foods to grow so popular with farmers and consumers that they become the new staple crops, he thinks. Okay. The three teams already have their eye on other plants that could be catapulted into the mainstream, including the foxtail, oatgrass, and cowpea. By choosing wild plants that are drought or heat tolerant, says Gavo, we could create crops that will thrive even as the planet warms. Okay. But Kudla didn't want to reveal which species were in his team's sights because CRISPR has made the process so easy. Anyone with the right skills could go to their lab and do this. Okay. Right. So 16th one, a number of examples of plants that are not cultivated at present but could be useful as food sources. I think he spoke about something, right? Look at this paragraph. The teams have already have their eye on other plants to be catapulted, including foxtail, oatgrass, and cowpea. Yes, these are the examples of plants that are not cultivated, right? So see, three times they already have their eye and they could be catapulted into the mainstream. It means they are not now, they are not in the present, but they will be catapulted means they will be pulled. I mean, they will bring all these into existence into the mainstream. So yes, 16th one is exactly matching with what is given in E. Number of examples of plant are not cultivated, but could be useful. See, we could create crops that will thrive even if the planet warms. So this is the explanation. So 16th one should be E. Okay. Right, guys. So let's move to the next matching section. Now, since we have read all the paragraphs, okay, we will get a good idea about all the matching sections. So let's see what happens. Let's read. This is about authors who said what, right? So look at the following statements and list the researchers below. Write the correct letter in the boxes. You may use any letter more than once. Okay. So obviously you have one more hint, means any one letter is going to repeat itself. This is a hint for you guys. Okay. So you need to make use of that. Now, domestication of certain plants could allow them to adapt to future environmental challenges. Wow. Okay. Yes. What do you mean by future environmental challenges? We have just read it. What is that? See here in the paragraph E, what he says. See, even if the planet warms, it is an environmental challenge, right? Even as the planet warms, planet means the planet Earth. Warming means like global warming. He talking about the global warming. So that is a future environmental challenge. So domestication of certain plants could allow them to adapt to this. What are those certain plants? Again, these foxtail, oatgrass, and cowpea. So by domesticating these plants, they could allow them to adapt to the future challenges. We could create crops that will thrive, means they can adapt even as the planet warms, means the future environmental challenges. So this is a straightforward answer, brother. Okay. Who said this? Says Gavo, right? Gavo said this. So what is the answer, brother? It is B, right? Gavo is B. So you should write B in your answer. Okay. So who said this statement? Gavo said. So answer should be B. Okay. Here it is clearly written. It says Gavo, right? Okay. Right. Next, let's read the next statement, right? The idea of growing and eating an unusual plants may not be accepted on a large scale. Okay. I think we have read this in the recent paragraphs only, right? It may not be accepted on a large scale. Why? See. Now read this one. You know, guys, how did I come here directly? Because I remember the passage that I read. Okay. When I read something, I try to remember that. I don't forget that. That's why I come here directly, right? So some people, I mean, they are posting in the comments that I know the answers already. That's why I'm going there directly. But it is not like that, brothers. Okay. Uh, how can I do this? Because only by remembering the passage. Okay. When you read something, you should remember that. Then only you will understand. You can go there directly. So try to remember what you are reading. That is the only thing that I can tell you. Okay. So this approach could boost the use of many obscure plants, says Jonathan Jones. But it will be hard for the new foods to grow so popular with farmers and consumers that they become new staple crops, he thinks. Okay. See, it will be hard for the new foods to grow popular with farmers and consumers. Here is our answer. The idea of growing and eating unusual plants may not be accepted on a large scale. So the farmers and consumers may not accept this so easily. Okay. That they become new staple crops, he thinks. Right. So 20, who said this? Mr. Jonathan Jones said this. So what should be the answer? I think the D is Jonathan Jones here. It's not clear, but I think it is understandable, right? So 20th one should be D. Okay. Right. So let's read the next one. It is not advisable for future direction of certain research to be made public. Okay. I think we read about this somewhere. It is not advisable for the future direction of certain research to be made public. Okay. So in this paragraph, we read about the Van Eyck Joyce, right? And C was about Kudla. The paragraph in paragraph A also, we came across Kudla for the first time here, right? This could transform what we eat. There are 50,000 plants in which 15 crops are energy, okay? And then we can now mimic the known domestication course of major crops like rice, maize, and others, says Gavo. Then we might try to domesticate plants that have never been domesticated. Okay. So we have not read anything about what they said. Kudla's team made 6 changes. Okay. They're quite tasty. It will be strong. Okay. Very aromatic, Kudla said. But that is not the question, right? It cannot be made public, he says. So what one Joyce said. So you have to read everything, whatever the authors, whatever the researchers came in the paragraph. What did they say? That is mentioned in the inverted commas, right? So it should be easy for you to read that. You should go there directly and read everything. Okay. So there's potential for this to be a commercial crop, says Van Eyck. But she adds that taking the work further would be expensive because of the need to pay for a license. Okay, this is by, but here there is nothing. It cannot be made public, not advisable for the future direction of research to be made public. Okay. So, yes, Jonathan Jones, what does he say? He said this, he just read that, and Gavo also answer is done. But Kudla didn't want to reveal which species were in his team's sites because the technique made the process so easy. Anyone with the right skills could go to the lab and do this. Okay, guys, I think our answer is here, right? Now you read the last paragraph and read this statement. They both are same. Do you know that? See, it is not advisable for the future direction of certain research to be made public. So the research cannot be made public. That's what someone says, right? Who said it should be Kudla? See, because Kudla didn't want to reveal which species were in his team sites. Yes, here is your answer. Kudla didn't want to reveal, and certain research cannot be made public. These two are synonyms, okay? Paraphrased ones. Yes. So 21 should be who? Kudla. And should be answer A, right? So this guy is A. 21 should be A, right? Next, present efforts to domesticate one wild fruit are limited by the costs involved. Okay. Did we read anything about the costs involved somewhere? We read it, right? Who said that? I think this Van Eyck, right? There's potential for this to be a commercial crop. She adds that taking the work further would be expensive because of the need to pay for a license. Yes. Okay, so this is the cost involved. This is very expensive. That is it. That's why it is limited by the cost involves present efforts and for the technology and get regulatory approval, right? So here is your answer. So clearly, 22 should be Van Eyck, which is option number C, right? And one more, last one. So humans only make use of a small proportion of the plant food available on Earth. Oh, okay. I think we read in the early stages of this one, right? We make use of a small proportion of the plant food available. Yes. I think we read in the first paragraph, right? Mm, this could transform what we eat, Kudla said. There are 50,000 edible plants in the world, but 90% of the energy comes from only 15 crops. Means out of 50,000, only 15 crops are useful. That is very small proportion, right? Small proportion of the plant food available on Earth. Yes. Means in the world, right? So hence 23, who said this? Kudla said. So again, A should be our answer. Okay. So this is very much straightforward, and you guys must be doing it so easily, right? Right, guys. So I hope you're understanding. I hope you guys are following my technique. Just let me know in the comment section if you have any difficulties or if you want to write, if you have any questions about that. Just let me know in the comment section. I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Okay. Now, next, the last one is fill in the blanks. Choose one word only. So you should be very careful here, guys. The question says one word only means the answer will be only one word, okay? And that will be from the paragraphs only. If you write two words, it will be wrong, even if it contains the right word, okay? So don't try to be smart, right? One word means only one word, okay? Next, an undesirable trait such as loss of dash may be caused by a mutation in a tomato gene. Okay, undesirable trait. So he's talking about some traits which is undesirable. So what is that? Tomato gene. Where did we read about the genes, tomato genes? He's talking about mutations, right? Mutation word. Where did we come across the word mutation? I think in the B paragraph. See, here is one mutation. Here is one mutation. Let's read this, okay? Uh, but every time a single plant with a mutation is taken from a larger proportion for breeding, much genetic diversity is lost. Okay. So we are losing genetic diversity, and sometimes the desirable mutations come with less desirable traits. For instance, the tomato strains grown for supermarket have lost much of their flavor. Okay. Okay, right. I think we got our answer, guys. What is the answer? See, an undesirable trait such as loss of dash may be caused by a mutation in tomato gene. Such as means he's talking about example, right? Such as, for example, means for instance. This is the keyword that you have to understand. Okay. An undesirable trait means which is not desirable. See, and sometimes desirable mutations come with less desirable traits, means undesirable traits. This one. So the tomato strain grown for the supermarket have lost much of their flavor. So undesirable traits such as loss of flavor may be caused by a mutation in tomato gene. Okay, this is very straightforward answer, guys, right? So answer should be flavor. So whatever the spelling that is given in the paragraph, it is better to write that spelling, guys. Okay. So flavor should be our answer, right? Just write the same spelling. Flavor, you can also write FLAVOR, that is also right. But most of the time it is better to write what is given in the paragraph. Okay. Right. By modifying one gene in a tomato plant, researchers made the tomato 3 times its original dash. Okay, I think we read 3 times, 5 times. I think we read in the next paragraph, right? So the fill in the blanks, it will come in order. Okay, one more technique, one more strategy is that fill in the blanks will come in order. So 24 answer was in paragraph B, right? This paragraph. Now 25 will be after that, but cannot be before that. Okay, either it will be in this paragraph or he will go to the next paragraph, C, D, E. Okay, so the answers will come in order. That is one hint. Okay. So by modifying one gene in a tomato plant, researchers made the tomato 3 times its original dash. So 3 times is the keyword. Okay. Let's read C. Kudla's team made 6 changes altogether. For instance, they tripled the size of fruit by editing a gene called fruit weight. Okay, and increased the number of tomatoes per truss by editing another called multiflora. So triple the size, 3 times its original what size? That's it. For instance, they tripled the size of the fruit. Okay. So 3 times its original size should be the answer. Okay. So I'll write the answer here for you. Size. Okay. So size is the next one. And then let's move to the last one. What is that? A type of tomato which was not badly affected by dash and was rich in vitamin C was produced by a team of researchers in China. So what is the keyword here? Vitamin C. Where did we read this? In the same paragraph, right? Here it is vitamin C, right? So it should be in this paragraph. The answer should be here, okay? So let's read it carefully. A team in China redomesticated several strains of wild tomatoes with desirable traits lost in domestic tomatoes. In this way, they managed to create a strain resistant to a common disease called bacterial spot race, which can devastate yields. They also created another strain that is more salt tolerant and has higher levels of vitamin C. I think I got my answer, guys. Did you guys get it? What is the answer? A type of tomato which was not badly affected by dash and was rich in vitamin C was produced by the team of researchers. So the last sentence has the answer. They also created another strain that is more salt tolerant. Salt tolerant means not affected by, okay? Tolerating the salt, right? Not affected by salt and was rich in vitamin C means has higher levels of vitamin C was produced by these guys, okay? So obviously our answer should be what? Salt tolerant means salt, SALT. That is our answer. That's it. Salt tolerant means not affected by salt, right? So they are matching completely. So when you answer this type of fill in the blanks, mostly he will be, you have to tally the synonyms, right? There would be some hints for you. There will be some synonyms. Okay, there will be some paraphrasing. Means they'll change the whole sentence, active to passive, passive to active. You should understand what is he trying to convey. Okay. So yes, that is the end of today's video, guys. If you like my content, if you like my strategies, please like, share, and subscribe my channel. And if you have any doubts, if you want me to do any specific passages, please mention it in the comment section. I'll try to solve as many passages as I can. Uh, That would be a great help for you. Just let me know if you want me to solve any specific passages other than the Cambridge books. So thank you so much. Let's meet in another video with a new passage. So bye. Have a good day.